أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد والثناء لرب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبو القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. السلام عليكم جميعا. Alhamdulillah, I had the opportunity to visit our beloved Imam Rida alayhi salam and his sister buried in the shrine in Haram of Hazrat Masuma sallallahu alayha. And it was a very good trip, and I tried to remember every single person by name when I made ziyarat, and if those who I couldn't remember their name, I tried to at least remember the hajat of the needs of the mu'mineen of every single markaz and center in the Jannah. I hope that inshallah Allah accepts those actions and those deeds and those amal. Hopefully that it's something that helps all of your hajat and your needs to be answered, inshallah. One of the things that when Imam Salih alayhi salam was sitting in the masjid, and he was sitting with Imam Baqir alayhi salam, and it says that there was a man who was one of their companions who was also sitting there. The man who was also sitting there, he saw another man outside walking past, and he tells to the Imams, he says, "Oh my goodness, that's this brother that I saw. I love this brother so much. MashaAllah, he's such a good brother, I love him so much." And the Imam said to him, when you love your brother in Islam, you have to show him that you love him. Don't sit and tell me. Show your brother in Islam that you love him. Show and extend your love to him. And this man, he understood what does he have to do. He has to get up, he has to stand, he has to approach, shake that person's hand, hug him, and show that there's love between them. Especially when it's been a while since I've seen, a lot of my brothers here at Almustafa Center being busy with the months that were Muharram and Safar and many other things, and then traveling, and alhamdulillah, it's a tawfiq to be able to be here and to do any kind of service and khidmah in the way of the Ahlul Bayt and in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to do those things which help to, inshallah, prepare us for the coming of our Imam Mahdi Ajjalullah ta'ala for the Sheikh.
وصل على محمد وآل محمد.
Can I ask my brothers who I love so much and miss, can they move a little bit closer? You are already very far away from me now, you're still far. I like it when you sit close and I can talk easier. Right? Too far away, I feel like I have to yell very far. I wanted to talk about, actually this was a topic that I had planned before, but I didn't get a chance to talk about it. But I wanted to share with you. So it's a short topic for tonight, but inshallah, khair. Another topic is about modesty. Modesty means that a person, they have ifa or haya. When it comes to the way that they are around others, they should have some shame. They should be shy about some things. Some things people think that people shouldn't be shy, but some things it's good to be shy about. It's good for a believer to have haya, for both men and for both women. There's a story, one of the things that happened, there was an article that I read. There was a girl, and she talked about her story about when she came to America. She was Muslim, her family was Muslim. She came to America, I think she was in elementary school. So maybe she was in like 4th, 5th grade. And she talked about her journey and her life and what happened. Now she's in college, graduated college. But she's talked about how she had a lot of struggles, a lot of difficulties, a lot of problems. What happened to her? She mentioned that when she came here with her family, all of the money that they had was $10. Sometimes we waste $10 so easy. All of the money, not that she had, but that her brothers and sisters, her mom, her dad, everybody, they had $10 when they came. So you can imagine that they just came from a foreign country, they came to America, they want to start a better life, and they have $10 in their pocket. Can't even buy a video game, you can buy lunch for one person. What can you do with $10? And obviously they don't have credit, they don't speak the language, all of these different things that makes it sometimes very hard to change from one society to another society. This family was Muslim, and so they grew up, in a Muslim country. I don't remember where they were from. I think they were from Bangladesh, I'm not sure. But they grew up in a Muslim country, a Muslim environment for the most part, maybe it was Pakistan. But they came here and the environment was different now. They were used to seeing masjids everywhere. They were used to seeing people wearing hijab. Now it's just like a big shock. What's going on? Where's the hijab? Why are people dressed like this? Where's the halal food? Right? So it was a huge shock for them, and it was hard for them. But she's talking about her life and one of the things that happened. So one of the things that was really tough for her, she said, was trying to maintain her Islamic identity. Like there were things that she grew up doing and she loved. She loved to wear hijab. She said, I grew up wearing hijab. I know that this is a sign of respect for a woman. This is a sign of that haya and modesty that we're talking about. And she said that I didn't want to take it off, but it was very hard for me. She said when I went to school, sometimes the other classmates, they would make fun of me. In middle school, high school even. He said one time there were students who said that, they planned to jump her after school. As she got out of the classroom, they were waiting for her. When she comes out, we're going to grab her and beat her up. Why? Because she looked different maybe. Her hair was covered because she dressed different. She said that people even made fun of her, spit on her, treated her really badly. She was really upset about that. One thing that I love about her story is that even though all the difficult things that happened to her, she didn't change. She didn't decide that, it's hard, I'm not going to do this anymore. Lots of things are hard in life. Sometimes school is hard. Sometimes other things are hard. But it doesn't mean that we quit when things become hard. And so she, in high school, graduated, and she was the #1 student in the entire school. #1. Some people were making fun of her. Some people were telling her, go back to your country. Everybody in America, except for Native Americans, probably came from another country, actually. But she stood firm, she studied good, she did everything she could do. Even with all the problems, she graduated to be the #1 student. So what did she do? She went to college. After she went to college, she said, you know what? This hijab that I have, it gave me power. It empowered me. It didn't make things harder for me. It helped me to stand out. It helped me to stand up. It helped me to show people things that they wouldn't otherwise understand. So she became very, very strong and firm in her belief, and firm in her iman, in her Islam. When she went to college, after that she started her own business. She was just a young lady, but she started her own business, and she sold hijab, and it's online. I can't remember the website. But one of the things she also started, I think 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, I believe 2 years ago, was she started the International Hijab Day. She was so proud about how this hijab helped her to be able to be a strong believer and Muslim. Even though it's something on the outside, how it helped to show what she believes on the inside. She was so proud of that, she wanted to share it with the whole world. She started the first International Hijab Day, World Hijab Day, it's called. And so the February 1st of every year is now recognized in a lot of places as World Hijab Day. The first year that she had started this, people from 70 different countries participated. And people from all different backgrounds, people who were not Muslims. They said for one day, February 1st, we'll wear hijab so that we can live and experience what you experience. Because of what empowered you and what made you powerful, we want to have an opportunity to try the same thing. Look at how her life became an example for everybody else. Now think about it. When she was in middle school, she could have said, oh, this is crazy. I don't want to do this. This is too hard. I don't want to be the one person who's Muslim and everybody else is. I'm different. She didn't do that. And she started a day where everywhere, churches, synagogues, non-Muslims, they all participate in World Hijab Day. It was on CNN, it was on BBC, it was on this news station, that news station. They were all talking about how this young lady, her iman changed so many things in the world, made people more tolerant, more accepting. It created a type of love amongst other human beings, even if they didn't know. I was really surprised when you read about it, some of the articles of the people who are not Muslims who participated. Non-Muslim women, for example, talk about their experience and how they were happy to be a part of this thing that brought people together. This is about what it means to be modest and what it means to hold fast and be to our iman and what we believe in. Like I said, when things get difficult, it's easy for a person to say that they want to change. They don't want to deal with that. And sometimes when we see things that are different in society, we think to ourselves that maybe I should change. The smart person, he says, if I'm good, I'm going to change the world. But the person who's not that smart, he says, oh, I don't want to be different. Even if I'm good, I want to be like everyone else. Here's the difference. One person changes the world, the other person, the world changes him. That's why we have hadith that says that when you spend a few days with someone, either you become like them, or they become like you. So if the person is a strong person, and he believes in what's right, he believes in his religion, then he can help other people. But if he's a weak person, what's going to happen? Other people are going to change him. Other people are going to tell him, you should believe this, you should think that, you should dress like this, you should talk like this, you should look like this, and he's going to try to make everybody happy. Okay, I'll do that, I'll dress like this, I'll talk like that, I'll be... What about what makes Allah happy? So when I was preparing for, that we were trying to honor this sister's effort and having every year this World Hijab Day. So we had a program for sisters and things like that on February 1st. But one of the things that I was reading some information. I wanted to look at some of the perspectives and the views that people who were not Muslim had about hijab. I found this website. It was a Christian website, a church, and it had an article there. This article was about the life of a Christian woman and what she felt about hijab, her experience. Everyone's is not the same, but this was interesting, her experience. So there were some notes I took about that, her experience. She said she was a Christian woman, always went to church. Even as a girl, she would always go to church. And she said that during this time that she would always go to church, she would see sometimes, for example, the nuns, right? The women who were like the religious monks, and they dress and they cover their hair and they wear long gowns, and they're the religious or spiritual sisters or women. They call each other sisters of the churches or other organizations. She said, I liked that. I felt that there were people who were holy, people who were good-spirited, people who were kind, people who were believers. And so she said, I always decided from that time, as she was young, she decided she would always wear a scarf. And she said, this is not anything bad, it's something normal, right? I mean, you have to think about it. This is an older woman, so she's talking about maybe like 50 years ago. She started going to church, and she would always wear a headscarf. And she said that it was normal to me. I didn't think anything of it. I know that the nuns, they wore like this full garb. And I thought that it was normal to me. Said one day, someone came to me and they said to me, what are you doing? Somebody in the church said to her, what are you doing? Why are you dressed like that? I said, what do you mean? I said, you're wearing that scarf. That's so old. We don't do that anymore, she said to them. She said, it's okay if you don't want to do that. I said, I'm comfortable like this and I want to wear my headscarf. This is a Christian woman. She's talking about her experience. You have to think about it. I don't know if you guys, if any of you ever received, maybe some of you, some of the adults have seen. But they have this video that they show to people when they're becoming U.S. citizens. And there's a video that they show of people coming to America. People who used to live somewhere in another country and are coming to America. And so in this video, it's very interesting, this part of the video, because there's people who are just saying, for example, they're from Europe, they're from Asia, they're from Africa, and they're from different places. And it's showing, and it's a lot of it is older, like people who were first coming to America, like first settling in America. A lot of them were Europeans in these pictures. And they wanted to show people how people from all over the world have come to America and become citizens here. But what was interesting was what? So many of these women, they were wearing long dresses and they were covering their hair. And they were wearing hijab, basically, in some way. And so for her, this woman who's telling the story, she said, this is normal. I mean, maybe she saw people dressed like that. Maybe her parents were immigrants. They came here. It was nothing that was out of the ordinary for them. But there was something that pushed her more. When somebody told her in the church, somebody said to her, you know, why are you dressed like that? We don't do that anymore. It kind of motivated her. It pushed her a little bit to think and say, well, besides how I feel inside, or maybe how I like it, what is it, the reason behind this? Why do I like this? Why am I drawn to this? What is there some religious philosophy or reasoning behind it? And so she began to do some research about what's the reason behind that. And she was trying to find out what is it that made this something respectable, so that she can have an answer to the person who would come and tell her, you shouldn't do this, this is something, in the old. Obviously, when she was doing her research and reading in the Bible and things like that, she came across some points. Obviously, one of those things was that the Hazrat Maryam, peace be upon her, the mother of Prophet Isa alayhi salam, that she would always dress modestly in long gowns. And even in the pictures or images, of course, for us, there's different opinion amongst the ulama and scholars about whether or not it's permissible or okay to draw an image or picture of these people like the A'imma, the Ahl Bayt, or even the prophets and holy personalities, whether it's permissible or not. There's different opinions. But amongst Christians, it's normal for them to draw pictures or have statues, big statues of, they're called the Virgin Mary, for example. And she said, well, this became a question. The same thing that the Italian Prime Minister, the Prime Minister of Italy, when they were trying to pass a law that said that all women had to be banned, no woman could wear hijab. And Roberto Maroni, he said, he was the Prime Minister of Italy, he said, how can you ask me to sign on a hijab ban law when every image of the Virgin Mary, she's wearing a scarf? How can you ask me to do that? You're telling me that the person who we respect the most, people should not look like her. He said, I can't accept it. And so this woman, this is one of the things that passed her mind, or one of the things that she also was considering, that if the person who I respect the most is my role model, is Hazrat Maryam, and how can I not? What's wrong with looking like her? This is my role model. And so she did her research, and closing up this story, what she got to, and one of the things that she reached, which was very interesting to me, were verses in the Bible. Obviously there's some that talk about covering, but ones that were explained to her to mean that the reason why, and this helped her to increase her iman, or her faith, even though she was comfortable already, but now she had a better understanding. Sometimes we do things in religion, like we pray, or we give sadaqah, or we come to the masjid, and things like that. We do them because we think that they're the right things to do, and we believe them, or we're taught that. But sometimes when you study yourself, or you ask the question yourself, you get a better understanding. When you get a better understanding, it makes you stronger in your belief. So what did she learn? She learned that when angels come down, this is what she learned in her belief, that angels come down and they respect more the women who cover their hair. She said, wow, that was interesting for her. Even though she had done most of her lifetime, that's the way that she grew up and the way that she was comfortable, but she said, it made me feel so happy to understand this principle, or this idea, that angels have a respect for the woman who's respecting herself in this way. It's kind of like when a king, if he's wearing his crown and his royal clothing, that he has a more respect amongst his court and the people there, right? If he was wearing his pajamas, maybe the people wouldn't think anything. King is just wearing pajamas, what's going on? It would be like the story about the king and the clothes. You know that story? I can't remember exactly what it was. Where there's a tailor, and the tailor, the king wants to wear the best clothes one day. He wants to wear the nicest clothes, things that no one has ever worn, beautiful clothes. So they bring a tailor, and this tailor says that they do. One tailor tries to do it, another one. Nobody can make the clothes that he wants. Finally, there's a tailor that comes, and he says, I can make clothes that you can never seen before. He says, okay, great. So what does the tailor do? He says, he's sitting there, with imaginary thread and needle, and he's making something, and he's working, and he's spending time and hours. Finally, he comes and he brings these clothes. These are invisible clothes. And he says, and he gives them to the king, and the king's supposed to put on the invisible clothes. And the king didn't want to seem like he didn't know what's going on. I don't want to seem stupid. I don't want to seem like I don't understand. Yeah, oh yeah, the invisible clothes look great. So he goes out in public in his birthday suit, and he's really embarrassed. The people are laughing and mocking. He's walking proudly in what he wore the day he was born, and which was absolutely nothing in his invisible clothes. But the point is that he was following just what other people were doing, and he wanted to not seem embarrassed. But the clothes of modesty are the clothes that separate you from everyone else. And there's a modesty for men, there's a modesty for women too. It's not just women wearing hijab, it's about men dressing modestly as well. So inshallah, maybe in another day, talk about maybe some of those more details, inshallah. But what's most important, I hope, that you gather is that the main lesson is that if we understand our religion and what we believe, then we can practice it very, very well. And we can do a good job. If we don't understand it and we don't try to understand it, then we're going to be the king wearing exactly the invisible uniform. So inshallah, may Allah give us all tawfiq and success to become closer to Him, to have a better understanding of our religion. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also bless us and our parents for helping us to be able to learn more about our religion. Inshallah, may Allah hasten the coming of the 12th Imam, and use all of his a'wan and his ansar and his helpers, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Does anybody has questions? Would you like to ask anything, Sheikh? Youth is, you have anything to ask?
Go ahead, ask your question. Ask a question.
Yes.
Who's mine? Stand up, stand up.
Does the World Hijab event involve men?
So one of the things that men can do is maybe like one of the things that you can do is you can buy a nice gift of hijab and give it to your mom. Or buy a nice gift of hijab if you have a sister and give it to your sister. Or you can make people know about the World Hijab Day and what it means, and that it's something that's nice and important to you. Very good question. Yes?
Stand up, stand up.
Yes, the woman's name that I was telling you about that started, her name is Sister Nazima Khan. Any more questions?
Yes, stand up.
Yes.
Why is it important to wear hijab?
Sure, very good question. Why is it important? Well, one of the reasons why it's important, obviously, is that Allah says that it's important. That's the most important reason why something is important. But there's a lot of other reasons too. One of the ways that we know how we respect someone is by the way that they look. If you see someone, for example, and they're wearing dirty clothes, right? And they come and they're wearing nothing, their clothes are dirty or they're smelly, you would think, like, what's wrong with this person? Why are they like this? The more that for a woman, the more that she covers her body, the more that other men will respect her. So Muslim women, a lot of times, they have more respect than other people who are not Muslim. Sometimes, other men who are strange men, they might look at someone who's not Muslim and look at how do they look. I wonder what they look like. I wonder what their hair looks like. I wonder what their body looks like. But for a Muslim woman, he doesn't know. And he can't know because she respects herself and doesn't show what she looks like to every person.
More questions?